Hello everyone. In front of you in your packet you should find a tray, a napkin, a paintbrush, some thin glue, and a paper ruler, and 2 sheets of paper which have been trimmed from an 8.5 by 11. This is a square piece of paper. In addition, you will need a scissor, which hopefully you have at home, and of course a pencil. If you do not have a pencil or scissor, please let us know. We'll include it in your packet. We'll just ask that you return it after the craft. Thank you. Okay, just with your box and this little strip of paper and your paper ruler and pencil. Everything else just put aside. To start with, we're going to figure out the exact size of inside there. We can make it a little larger, but we need to get a measurement. It should be approximately 4 inches. However, using the side which has all those nice delimitations of the different sizes, we're going to put we're going to fold it at the one, okay? Put the one in the corner, inside, okay? Take that, measure across, and crease it in. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like approximately a little over 1/8. So I'm going to call it, let's see, 1/4. A little larger is okay, okay? So it's 4 and 1/4. Let's hope that this measurement is pretty close going the other way. Again, crease it inside, go over, and yes, this one's kind of a little narrower, so I'm almost going to say it looks like an 1/8. But again, we can make it a little larger, so let's go for the 1 1/4. We're going to make a 4 1/4 template. So what we're going to do, square template. Take your square piece of paper. Nice and easy here, folks. Use your ruler. Measure out 4 1/4 inches. I don't care how you do it. My suggestion is always give yourself leeway going from the 1 inch and go to 5 1/4 this way, okay? Make a mark. You have all done this before. Do the same thing at the base, 5 1/4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4. Same thing the other way, 4 1/4. Remember, we're making this slightly larger, and there's a reason for it. I'll show you in a minute so we can have a little overlap. Okay, you've got your marks. Use a straight edge and or even just your paper, and lay out a line from line to line and line to line. The reason we're doing this, though, is just so that we lay out something in advance. We know what we're going to be doing with the paper napkin. So you're saying, well, why are we doing this? Well, it's kind of like having a template. All right, cut it out carefully. And again. It helps, the overlap is good. What I want you to do now is just going in, make just a small little cut inward. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's just that you're cutting inward. We're laying this out ahead of time so we know what we're doing when we get to the actual napkin. Put it inside, and it doesn't fit too bad. You're going to smudge it in as best you can. Use your fingernail to drive it into those creases. And you'll notice that it's pretty darn close. Maybe a little overlay, but the problem is, smidge it up a little bit. You want that base to be completely covered. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Going back to the second piece of white paper, the square paper. Fold it on the diagonal in half. Again on the diagonal in half. Lengthwise in half, matching the corners as best you can. Again in half, widthwise. Okay. I want you to do the same with that little square that you've got from this. You just have to do once lengthwise and once diagonally. Okay? You don't have to do the rest. But once you've got that, now you have a diagonal and the other one. You can take this and match the line there, and also match the halfway so that if you fold this over, it should fall nicely in the center of it. And the same way this way. Now, I want you to mark where you have your corners on the white sheet of paper behind you, behind here. Take it out of the way. Draw the square that you've just removed. Okay, that represents this piece. However, now we've got to go out in the diagonals. Grab a hold of your scissor. And I want you to cut those diagonals to the point that you meet the square. Okay, I would like you, from the dots where you cut, fold them up, again on each side. Remember, the square represents what the bottom is going to be. Okay, if it were a nice world, this would just fit in there and that would be the end of it. However, you can see it's just not going to do it because this is a tighter angle. So what we need to do, we already have this measurement here. We need to measure from here to here inside. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to say 7/8. Okay, the problem with that is, where does this go? Okay, a little confusing. What I would do from this, though, is measure the depth. What do you know? 1 1/8. So I'm going to measure up from here, 1 1/8. 1 1/8. Can't see properly. I hope I can see. 1 1/8. Draw your line. the first thing. Okay, we're going to do this for each side, so I'm just going to do this once here. All right, now we know the length again is 4 7/8. Divide that in 2, you get 2 7/16, which is almost 2.5. So going from the center, I'll give it a little extra, and I'm going to go to 2.5. Put the dot there. Okay, 1, 2.5. Going the other way, I'm doing it from the 4. 1, 2.5. Okay. That is where we're going to meet this line. So let's just draw the line. From that dot that we just placed to the corner. Ordinarily, I'd say, oh, go ahead, let's just chop it off. No. What we can do is remove this portion here, but I'm not going to, just to make my life a little easier, a few less cuts. This has taken care of this. Now we need to take care of this portion, which is 1/4 inch. So going from that corner, I'm going to go up 1/4 inch. And 1/4 inch. All right, but again, draw your line, dot to dot, and beyond. Now, I'm looking at this, and I can see that this is a 90-degree angle. Well, as the saying goes, sometimes you have to eyeball things. I know it's not going to be this, it's going to be more an extension. I will allow myself a little leeway and just try and maybe angle it out just a little more. It's not exactly 45 degrees, but it's not too bad. I would say that's closer, so I'm going to extend this one a little more. Remember, you can always have overlap. Now this is going to be your rim. That's basically where we're going to end it. So now I want you to cut out, take this portion out and this portion out. And we can probably get rid of this. So let's start by getting rid of that. Extend it out. Give us a little leeway again, a little extra room. This way, in case I've made that a little short. Okay. Now you're going to cut in from there, from this to the corner, that to the corner. Same thing. See, this is not a direct straight line. Same thing on this side. Ah, come on. Okay, we want to do the same thing that we did here with 2 more sides. The last side I'm not going to worry about, and I'll show you why. When I lay this down and I put that square, this particular end is going to go off. So we're not going to use that last side, okay? So we don't have to do all 4 sides, but do it with the other 2. So that when you come back, you'll notice that this will fit nicely. This one will go over onto the other side of that page, no problem. Same thing with this one. This one, no, let's cut it off. Don't need it. Okay, do the same thing that you did with this. Measure it out. What was this again? If you have to do it again, no problem. You can write down the size also. Uh-oh, yep, ruler stuck. Okay, it was 1 1/8 inches. Let's do it again. Oopsie. Was it 1 1/8 inches? Ah, I can't honestly remember. 1 inch. Yep, 1 1/8 inches. See, I don't have a great memory. I believe that was, let's see, it's almost 5 inches, so 2.5 from the center. Again, from the center, 1, 2.5. Draw your lines. Again, that was, I believe, 1/4 inch. Again, 45-degree angle. I did mention 90. I don't know why I said that, but it's 45-degree angle that we want from this up. So let's say 45 degrees, I think is about there. And I think about, let's see, if I kind of run parallel to that, it should be 45. Okay. And let me make sure this kind of, yeah, that's pretty good. Got it again. Again, leave a little extra on the outside of this. This way it can kind of go over and around when you do the actual napkin. The napkin will lie smoother than this paper will. Oopsie. Okay, I cut it too close. Okay. One thing I do want you to do in addition to the lines that we've just cut, yikes, okay, it wasn't right. Just cut in a little bit along that line where the rim would be. This way, if there is an overlap, you'll be able to overlap it properly. Wouldn't go crazy. This way, this can bend a little bit, as you see. Granted, this is just the paper. A little bit on that side, a little bit on that side. Next one up, same thing again. Like I said, sometimes you gotta remeasure because you don't remember. 1 1/8. 1 1/8. So for some reason it's weird. Make sure I got that 1 1/8. That's actually a little lower. Huh. Do use the one side that has the striations on it, because I think the other side is slightly different. I think they have different striations or something. I don't know. Okay. Making sure this looks parallel. Again, going from the center, I think total 5 inches, so 2.5 basically from this center line. 1, 2, half. 1, 2, half. And if you have a regular ruler at home, feel free to use it. I just think that for doing the inside measuring, it just makes it easier to bend. Okay, so that, now we have a 1/4 inch more for the rim. Quarter inch for the rim. Okay, 45-degree angle. I'm going to follow this kind of thing because I know that's 45 degrees, and I'm going to run it parallel as best I can. If you really wanted to be really particular, you could measure from here and here, make sure that they're the same distance. But I don't think it's that essential to be exact on that, just as long as there's enough. Okay, we're going to get rid of all this. Of course, I start with the outside. So much for cutting a straight line here. Cut in. Okay, again, make a little slit so that any excess can be moved to the other side. I mean, this is just a template, just remember that though. Get your stuff out of the way. And just to show you what I'm thinking, let's take this, place it in, and see how well or not so well we fit. Okay, you might want to bend this edge over. Oops, I didn't do that terribly well. Again, I'm a little lopsided. Okay, just to see how well this would fit. And you see, it's pretty close, and that corner's nice. This has got to go down a little further. I kind of didn't quite hit the bend right, but you see, it fits pretty well. That is why we're doing this, just so that you've got an idea of just how well or not so well it's going to fit, saving yourself some napkin. All right, this corner might need a little extra. Okay, well, it's not entirely perfect. It does pretty good. So we're going to use this as our template on the napkin. Open up your napkin. And you can pretty much see where your bird is. I want that piece to be part of the center, similar to what you see here. Okay, now, thinking of it that way, I'm going to notice that, okay, it's just not going to work entirely. Well, okay, I am not going to get a full side on that if I want to keep that bird in the middle. So I'm just going to go to the very edge with the corner and the other corner. I'm seeing where I am. Okay, the head is there. All right. We're going to have to make another piece coming from over here. That's okay. Pencil, draw it out. In other words, we're going to make it using your template. We're going to draw out on the back side, seeing that we can see the bird. If you need to use a straight edge, feel free. It's not that imperative. I got a little shadow here. Okay, draw the line, draw it out. If you feel uncomfortable without using a ruler, go right ahead, use your ruler. I mean, I'm just using a piece of paper to get that nice straight line. My cutting isn't so straight, so. All right, this one, right along the edge, up, over, okay, hold it down to the tip, over, make sure that's straight. Now, if you're lucky enough to have like some sort of cutter that you use for quilting, you can use that or an X-Acto blade, but you'll see, just make sure your lines are there, remove your template, and cut it out. I'm going to start by taking this off the edge here. Okay, nice and slow. Remember, this is like tissue, so be careful with it. I'm sorry if I'm getting off camera here. All right, let's see. Is that, yeah, okay. Now, the simple thing that I need to mention is napkins are not entirely all smooth, especially this has got kind of a, I don't know, a texture to it. So you will have some texture. It's nothing that you can really do about that. I'm having difficulty following my lines here. Try to keep it on camera, haha. There might be a little issue with the fold here, because I didn't smooth it out. Might be a little extra there is what I'm saying. Now remember, this is tissue, so it should conform once you put it down. It should be a little nicer. I'm trying to see my lines here. I'm having a hard time. Now, if you wanted to piecemeal this together, there's no reason you couldn't. But I think, you know, having the design transfer completely would be nice. So we've got most of it here. Let's just put it down in the tray to see exactly how we're doing. Now, I'm going to fold it just a bit so I can see where the crease lines are, or should be, anyway. Ha ha. All right. That might be a little too far here. Okay. Place it down in the tray. Lining up the bottom here. Okay. There will be a little overlap. But what you're going to notice is, yes, you're going to have overlaps in the corner. That's all right. So long as your coverage, you'll notice that at least for these corners, you'll have nice, clean coverage, and you will not have any gaps on the inside there. So that's good. We do need to make one more piece to cover this part here. Going back to your paper, I would stick close to the bottom edge and put it, you know, putting it here. Take this, flip it over, or if you want that, that's fine too. But leave alone that other section if you can. So we've got, I'm going to give it a little extra on the bottom. Draw it out. Oops. Okay, a little extra cut. Should be a little more. Sorry about that. Now I mentioned before that you might want to put a little notch in that end. That way it'll lie smoother. So what I'm going to do is put this one in first now. Laying it in. Okay, you see how it's kind of going a little higher on the edge there. This side I want to bring in tighter so that we hopefully hide that little corner. Try to position it so that the corners are hidden under the napkin, okay? And you notice, okay, the top here will fall a little off, but that's okay. So long as we have enough that it'll cover over. Then, of course, this will go back in. So, we've made a little headway. Take this out, take that out. Now we get to the fun part. Okay, as you see, I put down a newspaper. I've got my tray, my cutouts, just to make it visible, my glue, and the brush. All right, starting, first of all, we have a little bit layering on this one. So just be aware that there is multiple layers on your napkin. So it may or may not stick properly, but it should. Get your glue out. Okay. I'm sorry for the small containers, folks, but that's all I got. All right. Paint it across the bottom. In the corners. Make sure the corners are well done. Now we know this side is going to be the last side, so we'll leave that alone. Oh, might as well get everything on it as we can. You're putting a layer of glue underneath the paper, the napkin, and then you're going to put a layer on top of the napkin. Make sure, think of it as a, I don't know, a pan or something like that, where you're putting the grease in to make sure everything slides out, but we're not sliding out. Just get the glue all over everything. Laying it down is going to have to be done very carefully, that's all. Make sure you get the glue in the corners. Okay. I'm coated. I'll put my brush down. I'm taking this one first. I will very carefully place this time. Okay. I see that I'm in the corners. That I'm happy with. And we're just going a little further down. And you want to place that over. Put the glue on it. Okay. Put it down. Even kind of round it over a little bit. Okay, back to where I was. Had a little interruption. I'm going to put the glue on top of it as well. Just a light coating. This will dry clear. Don't worry about that. Light coating on top. You're kind of cementing it down. You can tuck that under. Now, for this part, again, just the timing of everything, right? Put a little more glue down. Make sure it's fairly thick on here. You want to, okay, I would bend things a little bit before you place it, just so that you get that nice placement. Haha. It's going to be a tough one, folks. Let's see. Now, we put it down very gently. Make sure you are lined up. You may have to drag it a little bit. That's why I don't put it tight. And this side's coming over. Good. And we're good there. And we'll pull it out just a wee bit here. Have to smooth things out a little bit, very gently placing things. Okay. You've got a little something going on here because it's not going all the way down into the corner. All right, let's see. I'm going to have to overlap it a little bit, put down more glue. This side up. Sorry. And this side, put my fingers into it. More glue, more glue. There we go. Again, interruptions. All right. See, this is coming up. Make sure you put enough glue underneath it. Kind of smush it back down. Don't be afraid to use your fingers. You can always wash your fingers. Tucking it over, try not to rip it. Okay. Adding a little glue on the other side, even though that side is not ready. We're not ready for that side yet. A little more glue, just over the top. This will come out kind of, it will not be perfectly smooth, but that's the nature of the beast here. If you find that you need to cover up a spot, you can move the tissue paper around and cover up, but just try to make sure all the spots are covered. Now this is the first layer, folks. not the first layer, I shouldn't say that. This is only the top. If you find you missing a spot, you can grab a piece of tissue, a little scrap, try to cover over the corners if you miss something. Okay. Now, corner, putting that down. I'm going to be sure. I'm basically flattening out anything that went over so that when I do the other side, we will have a nice smooth edge. All right, but as you see, this is the first side. You are going to have to wait till this dries before doing the other. You can't really do anything else until this dries. Just make sure that it's against the wood and down. Using your fingers to smooth it is not a bad idea, because you'll be able to tell if you've missed anything, if anything is sticking up. Okay, so right now I'm going to leave this and I'm going to let it dry. Close up your glue, wash out your brush, and in about a day we'll come back and we'll finish the back. Welcome back. Now we're getting to the other side. The other side is going to be a lot easier than the one that you had done. Get out your paper napkin. That is where we had the other one. Now, if we lay this on top and see where the corners go, we will more than likely be okay, but we've got to watch that each side is able to cover completely. As I am doing this, I am just laying it down. I'm going to pinch at the corners, kind of like what you would do with a present, and just fold it over, hold it tight, because we want to crease that, because we want to get rid of that corner. I mean, yes, we can just overlay it with glue and then put it down, but sometimes a little much is too much. Do the same thing with the other corner. Again, with this other corner, let's get this stupid paintbrush out of the way. All right, so I should be able to cut off along that ridge and along that ridge. I'm going to just put a small little line with my pencil. So I know where I'm cutting. Bring it up and nicely cut it off. Down again. I don't know if you could see this, but I want this edge to meet up with this edge up here. I really don't want to overlay it, because it kind of, at this point, we just want to make sure it's completely covered. All right. And I can see where I'm going to have to trim some of the other areas. If necessary, I'll move this around a little bit. I want to make sure all that underneath part is covered though. Checking the sides. What I'm going to simply do, hold it in place. Yeah, there'll be a tiny bit of an overlap, but, and just snip it off. Remember, we want to make sure that's going to go all the way meet our other edge. Probably just cut along here. The corner will be nice. If necessary, I'll overlap that little bit. Okay. Check the corner over here. Make sure I pull up the paper. One last corner. Okay, get that out of the way. I'm going to hold this onto this thing until I've gotten this positioned, really. Okay. There's your glue. Again, nice and thick. This time I'll do the sides separately. One at a time, actually. This one is the side that I'm going to hit first. Carefully. Position the bottom of the paper, the napkin, along that edge, pulling gently and laying it down. Smooth out. Take this gently, smooth it out, nice and gently. Don't push or pull too much. You're going to have a few ridges, but nothing major. Okay? You don't want to rip that napkin. All right. Back up here. Pull it up. Again, the next side. Gently. I'm going to fold that a little bit over. Be careful as you handle it. Your fingers are going to want to stick to it. So try to keep it at the corners if you can. Otherwise you're going to end up with a bit of a napkin on you. One more side. Now before we put more glue on this, we want to put it on top of something. Now I'm going to borrow the cap for a second. Actually, I need something else, maybe just a scissor. Make sure my hands don't stick to this. Get out the glue and give it a nice final coat here. But you can see why you need the bottom, the other side, completely dry before doing this, because otherwise it'll be sticking to the paper. Remember, this dries clear. If you need something, maybe just grab your pencil to hold it in position. If you see any little stick outs, you can take care of them with your finger. You might want to gently smooth things down. But like I said, it's the nature of the beads to be a little rumply, because the napkin was not super smooth to begin with. Okay, I am pretty happy with that. Make sure it's not sticking to the paper. I'm going to just lift it off the paper to prevent it from sticking. Close up your glue, wash your brush. Once you're happy, I'm going to take my finger and just gently smooth it out. Be very careful that your fingers don't get stuck, because you don't want to pull up the napkin on your finger. Okay, let it dry. And that's it. Should take maybe an hour or two to dry, and you're good to go. If you want to fix up anything, if you have any little holes where you see that, you know, you're not happy with, you want to just add a little scrap to it, go right ahead. You got the glue, you got the brush. Okay, that's it. Enjoy.